So today we are going to be making this in the hoop, cute mirror, mermaid kitty, purr kitty, whatever you guys want to call her. All done, well, mostly done in the embroidery hoop. This is a 5x7 size. You might ask, how does this beast fit in the 5x7? Well, that's what I'm going to show you coming right up. So here's where we start. I have 3 stabilizers, tearaway stabilizers. This is a good heavyweight one. I have my 5x7 hoop. I have all my fabrics over here. I have for my tail and my arms and my ears. So this particular one, you just want to make sure that you're able to fit your fabric on your embroidery hoop. This design here is length times 2 because it will be twice the length of your hoop. And again, this is the 5x7. So the main fabric, this is going to be the kitty cat color right here. And I chose this for my tail fabric. The tail fabric just needs to be the length of the hoop. Once over, we will be doing a what I call flip method applique. So instead of having satin stitch where you tack it down, you trim it, and then there's a nice satin stitch on it, a flip applique is there'll be a placement line and you're going to put your fabric down pretty side down. It will tack it over and you'll be able to flip it and it'll tack it down one more time. You'll have this really nice clean stitch and it won't use up a lot of extra thread. You can only do that on straight spots. So let's go ahead and get this started. I have in my multi-hoop machine my hoop 1, and I have separated out my colors, what I want them to be. The first step is your placement for this, which I'm opting to use black to really show off each line. If I used white on the video, you wouldn't be able to see it, but if you're doing it at home, I would just use white. So here we have, this will be the tail, these are your arms, and these are your ears. So step 1 just stitches out each line. This is hoop 1, step 1, placement stitch for each piece. Step 2 is going to be tacked down for your tail. So you're going to want to take 2 pieces of fabric, or I'm using a single piece and folding it over. The whole point is you want 2 pieces, pretty sides, sandwiched together, facing each other, and stitch. There we go. I opted for the open version, which means that there is an opening right here so I can stuff the tail after everything is complete. Next, you're going to want to make sure that these are clear of these other placement markers. There we go. We have our tail fin, we have our arms, and our ears. Let's get them out, cut around them, turn them right side out. You always want to make sure you leave a tail right there where the opening is. And little slits always make a smoother turn line. So now we have our arms and our tail fin, which I feel like I can probably needs another snip right there just because it's not very smooth. Again, if you want smooth turns, you got to snip in a little bit to get that to, there, that's better. Whichever side we'll be using, I don't know, we'll see when the tail is done. And our ears. You can choose to have your ears flat and open like this, or my preference is I actually like to fold it down just a little bit, and then I take it on my sewing machine and I sew it right there so that it gives a little bit of a cute little kitty cat ear look, like that. Or you can leave them straight if you want. But there is our hoop 1 complete. Yay! So the biggest thing for these double length designs is you really, really, really have to make sure that your base fabric is double the length of your hoop. And that first stitch right there, that is a marker. It is marking where to line up the next hooping. I guess I should sit down. I'm not used to sitting working. I should say, do as I say, not as I do. Don't put your hands in the hoop, especially if you're new. I've seen way too many images of needles and fingers, and that scares me, but do as I say, not as I do. Don't put your hands in the hoop. There's plenty of tools out there that you can do. All right. So that was step one. And I'll sit down again. God, I'm not used to sitting. Okay, that was step one. Again, my base fabric is twice the length of my hoop. This is the 5x7 hoop. And I know I keep stressing this, but you guys, that is like the key point of this whole entire tutorial, is how to do that. So I did it in blue. Normally I would do it in white, but I wanted you to see it. And I wanted you to see that there are markers on both sides of this hoop. And my brain just went blank. Okay, so the rest of the stitches are going to be detail stitches of everything else. I'll slow it down to show you the flip applique of the tail, but the rest of it I'm just going to speed on through. If you guys want more information or need me to slow it down on a future video, just let me know below. Otherwise, these videos are just so long. Anyway, all right, let's do it. I assume you guys know how to do applique at this point if you're doing in the hoop projects, or this is a intermediate design. But for an applique, there's a placement stitch. You put your design your fabric pretty side up. There's a tack down. You trim away from it, and later on at some point, if not directly after, there's a satin stitch to seal off all of the raw edges. This is the placement stitch for our flip applique. So you will take this and you will take your tail, whatever your fabric is, and you will put the pretty side down. So if I were to have this normally, it would be like this. And this is how I want it to look. I want it to look like this. So you take it and you flip it up so that the pretty side is down, and you want it over that placement marker right there. Whatever. Anyway, all right, so if you see, it has tacked it down. Again, the pretty side is down, right? That's the pretty side. And then once we flip it, it's all beautiful. It's so pretty. And again, it's that length that we're going for, because this is going to go in the next hoop, and you're going to have these markers on the next hoop. That way you know where to lay this down. Yeah, it's so exciting. We're coming along. All right. Step 6 is going to tack all this down. And then each one you flip over, and then you flip over, and you flip over, and you flip over. And the next 4 steps are going to be tacking down each one. So I have each of the items tacked down, and when we flip it, they'll look like that. When we flip it, it'll look like that. I went ahead on my sewing machine and I took another tail fabric and I sewed it on a main fabric, and it looks the same, right? Yay! So the point of that, you can totally not do that. That's totally up to you. I prefer to do it this way because I like my back and my front to match. I do the same thing anytime that there might be hair on a doll or something, but you just put your fabrics together. I sloppily did a zigzag. This is why I embroidery. This is why I do in the hoop embroidery. I am not the straightest stitch on the sewing machine, but the embroidery machine, I can, you know, do that. So, and then you flip it over the same way. And now you're going to sandwich the pretty side fabric to the pretty side fabric. And you want, if you do choose this factor, you do want to match up the lines together so that when it stitches out, I'm just matching it, so that when it stitches out, it'll stitch out and match together. And the important thing here is you want to make sure that, again, you are twice the length of your hoop. Okay, so again, this is the second to last step. It's going to do a final tack down around the top part of your mirror kitty, purr kitty, whatever you want to call it, kitty cat mermaid. And it's just going to go around it. It's not going to go all the way down because we're going to have to match this up on the next hoop, and we're not going to want to catch this fabric here. We're not going to want to catch that. So it doesn't go all the way down. There's a lot of wiggle room right here. The last step on here on your design is called a stopping star. I intentionally put the stopping star in place so that the embroidery hoop will not recenter and snag on anything, but you can safely remove it from your hoop and move on to the next hooping. Hoop 3, you have these markers. This is your first step right here. I highly recommend using a contrasting thread to your stabilizer. I chose black because I really wanted you guys to see it. And you're going to take your first your second hoop, right? This is your second hoop, and you want to match on your second hoop. There were these markers. Let's see if I can try. This is the second key. So the first key to this style design is you want to make sure that your main fabric is twice the length. The second key to this is you really want to make sure you pay attention to those markers that are placed on your hoops. So here is a marker and here is a marker, and we're going to put those markers on these markers. You're just matching them up. Okay, so I have my markers down over the markers from hoop 3 has markers, hoop 2 has markers. I matched my markers. And I make sure that my backing is flipped up, okay? You should not have any of that. It needs to be flipped up. Step 3 is going to stitch right here just to make sure that you do have it lined up well. It's kind of a safety net, if it were. So I have all my detail stitches done. I have a placement stitch down here for my tail, which I lost. There it is. Got it. For my tail. And now you can decide what, you know, which side you want. That side. That side. I think it matches that side better because it kind of matches that green really nicely. Yeah, I like it there. Okay. So you have a limb. Again, see how you like it. Flip her up. There we go. There's our beautiful tail. So this next part here, you're just going to sandwich your backing down. Before you do, you want to make sure that your tail is inside. Step 3 had this beautiful outline, and you want to make sure that your tail is inside that. If you stuffed your tail, like I chose an open version so that I can stuff it later, or you can choose the non-open version and choose not to stuff it. I actually don't like it stuffed, so I don't know why I did it like that, but whatever. If it's stuffed, you just want to make sure that you kind of do a basting stitch. In the PDF tutorial, my tester who did the tutorial for me, she did pre-stuff it, so you can see how that can look too. But I'm going to move this in. I'm going to tape it down. There we go. So I just taped it down with some regular tape. And then you're going to put your backing hooping down again. You do not need to have 2 layers of fabric. I opted for that for the stuffing of my toy, because I know that my fabric has stretch to it. This Minky has some stretch, and this Minky here has a different stretch to it. It actually stretches more, and I didn't want to have a big butt. So if I did not have this extra fabric, this would stretch out more, causing a puffier backside tail to my mermaid, and I opted not to have that. So the last step is just to stop and start. Boom! Yay! Thanks for joining me today, you guys. I hope that you can enjoy making your own cute little kitty cat mermaid design. I'll leave a link below for this particular design. It's a lot of fun. We've actually made a couple double length hoop designs, including a princess, and there's actually more to come soon. I'm very excited about. Please let me know if you have any questions below. Tag me if you need to, or look us up on Facebook. We have our fan group, we have a business page, or you can email me at kelly@oaddesigns.com. Thank you so much again, and I hope that you enjoyed. Bye.